You're not a real woman if you can't have babies. What would you do if your partner of 8 years suddenly tried to control your body and reproductive choices? After years of suffering through debilitating side effects from birth control and receiving a diagnosis that made hormonal options potentially deadly, Megan suggested a permanent solution since they both agreed they didn't want more children. His response? I forbid it. This isn't just about a medical procedure. It's about control, respect, and what happens when someone you love puts outdated beliefs above your health and well-being. Hey everyone, welcome back to Reddit Bit. Buckle up for this emotional roller coaster that will leave you both outraged and inspired. Let's dive in.
Hi everyone. I'm Megan, I'm 29, and I live in San Diego with my husband Ryan, 30, and our two amazing kids, Emma, 7, and Noah, 4. Until a few months ago, I thought we had a pretty solid marriage. We met in college, got married at 21, and built what I thought was a partnership based on mutual respect and understanding. For the past 8 years, I've been the one responsible for birth control in our relationship. I've tried pretty much everything: the pill, patches, rings, shots, and most recently an IUD. And let me tell you, none of them have been kind to my body. I've dealt with migraines so severe I couldn't see straight, weight fluctuations that wrecked my self-image, mood swings that made me feel like I was losing my mind, and debilitating cramps that would leave me bedridden for days each month. Last year, things got even more complicated when I was diagnosed with a clotting disorder that makes hormonal birth control dangerous for me. My doctor actually recommended I stop using it altogether because of the increased risk of stroke. On top of that, ovarian cancer runs in my family. My mom had it, and so did her sister, so I've been worried about that too. A few months ago, Ryan and I had what I thought would be a straightforward conversation. We were sitting on our back patio after the kids went to bed, enjoying a rare quiet moment together. So, I've been thinking, I said, swirling the wine in my glass. Since we both agree we don't want more kids, maybe we should look into something permanent. Ryan nodded. What did you have in mind? Well, there are basically two options. You could get a vasectomy, which is pretty simple. It's an outpatient procedure with minimal recovery time. Or I could get a bilateral salpingectomy, where they remove my fallopian tubes. It's a bit more involved, but it would also reduce my risk of ovarian cancer. I expected a rational discussion about the pros and cons of each option. What I got instead was something I never saw coming. Ryan's face darkened. He set his wine glass down with enough force that I thought it might break. Absolutely not, he said, his voice cold. I'm not letting anyone cut on me down there, and I'm not letting you do that to yourself either. I was taken aback by his tone. Ryan, these are both safe, common procedures. My doctor actually recommended I said no. His voice rose sharply. I forbid it. That's not happening. Forbid? In 8 years of marriage, Ryan had never spoken to me that way. We'd always made decisions together as equals. I felt like I was suddenly looking at a stranger. That's not really your decision to make about my body, I said carefully. And I've been suffering with birth control for years. You've seen how bad it gets. Then we'll use condoms, he said dismissively. Or you can track your cycle. There are apps for that now. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. We'd had a condom break when we conceived Emma, and cycle tracking is far from foolproof. Plus, neither addressed my health issues. Ryan, my doctor literally told me I shouldn't be on hormonal birth control anymore because of my clotting disorder. It could cause a stroke. He shrugged. So we'll be careful. You're making too big a deal out of this. I stared at him, a cold feeling settling in my stomach. Was my health really that unimportant to him? The conversation ended there, with nothing resolved. I went to bed early, claiming a headache, while Ryan stayed up watching TV. As I lay there in the dark, I realized this wasn't just about birth control or sterilization. This was about something much deeper: respect, autonomy, and whether my husband truly cared about my well-being. The next morning, I called my OB/GYN and scheduled a consultation about the salpingectomy. I didn't tell Ryan. I just knew I needed more information before we discussed it again. After my doctor's appointment, I felt more confident about moving forward with the salpingectomy. Dr. Martinez had walked me through the procedure, recovery time, and all possible risks. She also confirmed that I wouldn't need Ryan's consent. This was my decision to make. Still, I wanted to try one more time to have a rational conversation with my husband. I waited until the weekend when the kids were having a sleepover at Ryan's parents' house. I made his favorite dinner, steak with garlic mashed potatoes, and opened a bottle of wine. I wanted to create a relaxed atmosphere where we could really talk. "This looks amazing," Ryan said, kissing my cheek as he sat down. "What's the occasion?" "No occasion," I smiled. I just thought we could use a nice dinner and some time to talk without the kids interrupting every 5 minutes. We chatted about work and friends through most of the meal. Ryan told me about a new project he was excited about at his engineering firm. I shared news about a freelance design client who wanted to hire me for ongoing work. It felt normal, comfortable. Like us, when we finished eating, I took a deep breath and decided to dive in. "Ryan, I want to see Dr. Martinez this week to discuss the salpingectomy in more detail." His fork clattered against his plate. "You did what?" "After I told you I didn't want that." "I just wanted more information," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "And I think we need to revisit this conversation. My health is at risk with hormonal birth control, and other methods aren't reliable enough. So this is about you not trusting me to use condoms properly," he scoffed. "No, that's not, because I'm not the one who got pregnant while on birth control. Twice." That stung. Both pregnancies had been while I was on birth control that failed. The broken condom with Emma and a missed pill with Noah due to a stomach virus. Ryan had never thrown that in my face before. "That's not fair and you know it," I said quietly. "Birth control can fail. That's why we're talking about something permanent, since we both agreed we don't want more children." I said I don't want more kids. I didn't say I want to mutilate either of us. Mutilate? Ryan, these are standard medical procedures. Millions of people have them every year. "A woman isn't a woman without her reproductive parts intact," he said, looking me straight in the eye. "And a man isn't a man if he can't reproduce." End of discussion. I felt like I'd been slapped. In all our years together, Ryan had never expressed views like this. We'd always been progressive, supportive of each other's choices. Where was this coming from? That's ridiculous," I stammered. "My worth as a woman isn't tied to my ability to have more children. And neither is your manhood." "Easy for you to say. You're not the one being asked to cut off part of what makes you a man." "I'm not asking you to cut off anything. A vasectomy doesn't remove any parts. I said no." Ryan shouted, slamming his hand on the table hard enough to make the wine glasses jump. "And I don't want you doing it either. This conversation is over." He stood up and stalked out of the room, leaving me sitting alone at our carefully set table, candles still flickering. The next morning, I decided to try one last approach. Maybe if I understood his concerns better, we could find common ground. "Ryan," I said as he was making coffee, "can we please talk about this calmly? I want to understand why you feel so strongly about this." He sighed heavily. "Fine. What? Are you worried about the procedures themselves? The risks? Because we can talk to doctors together, get all the information. I've told you my reasons." He cut me off. "It's unnatural. God made us this way for a reason." This was news to me. We weren't religious. We hadn't been to church since our wedding, which was only to please our parents. We'd both grown up in Catholic families, but had drifted away from the church years ago. "Since when do you care about what's natural?" I asked. "You've never mentioned religious concerns before." "Maybe I've been thinking about it more lately. My buddy Mike at work goes to this church, and he's been sharing some stuff that makes sense." So that was it. Ryan had a new friend who was influencing his views. Mike was a recent hire at Ryan's firm. An older guy who Ryan had mentioned was pretty conservative. "Ryan, we've been married for 8 years, and you've never once expressed these kinds of beliefs. Now suddenly, because of Mike, this isn't about Mike. This is about what's right. And I'm not going to let you pressure me into something that goes against nature." "Let me get this straight," I said, feeling a strange calm descend over me. You'd rather I risk a stroke from birth control or go through another unwanted pregnancy and childbirth, which is far more dangerous than a simple outpatient procedure, than consider either of us getting sterilized? Birth control has been working fine for years, he said dismissively. No, it hasn't. I've been suffering. I've had migraines so bad I couldn't see, cramps that left me unable to get out of bed, depression that made me cry for hours. Did you not notice any of that? Or did you just not care? Ryan looked uncomfortable. You're being dramatic. It wasn't that bad. In that moment, something broke inside me. All these years, I'd been enduring pain and side effects while Ryan remained oblivious, or worse, indifferent. I'm getting the procedure, Ryan, I said quietly. With or without your support. My body, my choice. His face darkened. If you do this, you're choosing surgery over our marriage. Think about that. He grabbed his keys and left for work, slamming the door behind him. I stood in our kitchen, shaking, but somehow clearer than I'd felt in days. If Ryan was willing to end our marriage over my right to make decisions about my own body, maybe this marriage wasn't what I thought it was. I picked up my phone and called my sister, Alexis. Hey, can the kids and I stay with you for a few days? I need some space to think. Alexis didn't hesitate. Of course. Do you need me to come help you pack? My sister has always been my rock. 2 years older than me and fiercely independent, she'd divorced her own controlling husband 3 years earlier and had been thriving ever since. She lived about 30 minutes away in a spacious condo with a spare bedroom and a pull-out couch in her home office. No, I can manage. Ryan's at work until 6. I'll pick up the kids from school and head over after. I spent the morning packing essentials for myself and the kids, enough clothes for a week, favorite toys, school supplies. I left a note for Ryan explaining that I needed time to think and that the kids and I would be staying with Alexis. I didn't mention the procedure. When I picked up Emma and Noah from school, they were excited about the impromptu vacation at Aunt Alexis's place. I tried to keep things light, explaining that Mommy and Daddy needed a little break to figure some grown-up stuff out. Emma, perceptive as always, asked if we were getting divorced. No, honey, I said, though I wasn't entirely sure that was true anymore. Sometimes adults just need space to think, like when you and Noah have a fight and need to play in separate rooms for a while. This explanation seemed to satisfy her, and soon they were chattering about Alexis's cat and the swimming pool in her condo complex. The next day, Alexis took the day off work so we could meet with her divorce attorney. I wasn't sure if that's where this was heading, but I wanted to understand my options. I'm not saying you should get divorced, Alexis said as we drove to the appointment. But knowledge is power, and you need to know where you stand legally if things go that direction. The attorney, a kind but no-nonsense woman named Janet, walked me through what a separation or divorce would look like. She explained my rights regarding the children, the house, and finances. She also confirmed what my doctor had told me: I didn't need Ryan's permission for any medical procedure. Your body is your own, she said firmly. No court in California would side with a spouse trying to prevent necessary medical care. That afternoon, while the kids were napping, Alexis and I had a heart-to-heart on her balcony. So what are you going to do? She asked. I'm getting the procedure, I said without hesitation. I've already scheduled it for 3 weeks from now. Good for you. And what about Ryan? I sighed. I don't know. Part of me wants to believe this is just a weird phase, that he's being influenced by this new friend and he'll come around. But another part of me feels like I've seen something I can't unsee, like I finally glimpsed his true feelings about women, about me. Men like that don't change easily, Alexis said gently. Believe me, I tried for years with Mark. They might say the right things for a while, but those core beliefs about gender roles run deep. I nodded, tears forming in my eyes. I just can't believe I didn't see it before. 8 years, Alex. 8 years and 2 kids with someone who sees me as a walking uterus. Hey, she said, taking my hand. Don't beat yourself up. People hide parts of themselves, or sometimes new influences bring out aspects that were dormant. The important thing is that you're seeing it now and taking steps to protect yourself. After a week at Alexis's, Ryan started calling and texting constantly, alternating between anger, pleading, and guilt-tripping. I agreed to meet him for coffee at a neutral location, a cafe halfway between his office and Alexis's condo. He was already there when I arrived, looking like he hadn't slept much. Part of me felt guilty for causing him pain, but I reminded myself that I wasn't the one who had issued an ultimatum. "The kids are fine," I said as I sat down. "They're enjoying their time with Alexis." "When are you coming home?" he asked immediately. "That depends on whether we can resolve this issue," I said. "Ryan, I've scheduled the salpingectomy for 3 weeks from now. I'm going through with it." His face hardened. "So you've made your choice. This isn't about choosing a procedure over our marriage. It's about my health and my right to make decisions about my own body. The fact that you'd end our marriage over this says a lot about how you view me, as something you have control over, not as an equal partner." "That's not fair," he protested. "I just think there are other options we haven't explored." "We've been exploring options for 8 years, Ryan. I've tried 5 different types of birth control. I've suffered through migraines, depression, and pain so severe I couldn't function. Now I have a medical condition that makes hormonal birth control dangerous. What more do you want me to try?" He looked down at his coffee. "What about natural family planning?" "My friend Mike's wife—" "Stop," I interrupted. "I don't care what Mike or his wife do. This is about us, about me. And I'm tired of suffering when there's a simple, safe solution available. It's not simple. It's permanent. So is having more children. We agreed our family is complete. Why is permanence only scary when it comes to birth control, but not when it comes to bringing another human being into the world?" Ryan had no answer for that. We sat in silence for a moment. "I've been thinking about something," I finally said. "When we got married, you vowed to cherish me in sickness and in health. But watching me suffer from birth control side effects for years without caring enough to consider alternatives doesn't feel like cherishing to me." His eyes widened. "That's not fair. I didn't know it was that bad." "You didn't know because you didn't want to know, Ryan. I've been telling you. For years. You just weren't listening." I went through with the procedure 3 weeks later. Alexis drove me to the hospital and stayed with me through recovery. The procedure went perfectly, minimal pain, quick healing. I felt an immense sense of relief knowing I wouldn't have to worry about pregnancy or birth control side effects anymore. Ryan didn't come to the hospital. He sent a text the night before saying he couldn't support something he fundamentally disagreed with. That message, more than anything else, confirmed I was making the right decision, not just about the procedure, but about our marriage. 2 months have passed since then. The kids and I are still living with Alexis, though we're looking for our own place. Ryan and I are in mediation for the divorce, which is difficult, but necessary. He still believes I betrayed him by getting the procedure, while I believe he betrayed me by putting his outdated beliefs about gender above my health and autonomy. Some days are harder than others. I miss the life I thought we had, the partnership I believed in. But I don't regret my decision. For the first time in years, I feel physically well. The migraines are gone, the mood swings have stabilized, and I'm sleeping better than I have since before Emma was born. More importantly, I've reclaimed something I didn't even realize I'd lost: control over my own body and life. No matter what happens next, I know I'll never again let anyone else make decisions about my health or my future. That alone makes all the pain and upheaval worthwhile.
So there you have it. What began as a conversation about family planning ended with Megan reclaiming control of her body and life, even at the cost of her marriage. What makes this story so powerful is how it reveals the invisible imbalances that can exist even in seemingly equal partnerships. For 8 years, Megan endured physical pain and emotional distress from various birth control methods, while Ryan remained either oblivious or indifferent. The burden of family planning fell entirely on her shoulders, a common dynamic in many heterosexual relationships that often goes unquestioned until a crisis forces it into the spotlight. The most disturbing aspect wasn't just Ryan's refusal to consider a vasectomy. It was his attempt to control Megan's medical decisions about her own body. His statement that a woman isn't a woman without her reproductive parts intact revealed deeply troubling views about gender and worth that had somehow remained hidden throughout their marriage. It's easy to villainize Ryan, but it's important to recognize that he, too, is influenced by societal norms and expectations around gender. His newfound religious convictions, influenced by his co-worker Mike, didn't create these views. They simply provided a framework and the confidence to express beliefs he may have held all along. This doesn't excuse his behavior, but it helps us understand how such views persist in our society. Megan's decision to prioritize her health and autonomy cost her a marriage, but gained her something far more valuable: self-respect and physical well-being. Sometimes the hardest choices are the ones that lead to the greatest growth. What would you have done in Megan's position? Would you have proceeded with the procedure despite your partner's objections? At what point do you think she should have recognized that this disagreement revealed fundamental incompatibilities in their values? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this story thought-provoking, please hit that like button and subscribe to Reddit Bit for more real-life relationship dramas every week. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.